got you. We also have Mrs.
Nice.
Jamie McCann Paradise. I always pause because everybody has hyphenated names in my program for some reason. And then in the back, that mysterious looking gentleman right there with the leather coat on, that is Dr. Carlos Kildane. He is hopefully getting my good side back there. So we are going to get started now. I told her to cut me off at 3:35. So if Mr. Wynn asks you, tell him I did the whole 50 minutes, because hopefully you give him a call when we're finished. Again, if you haven't done so yet, access the presentation. My name is Tommy Richardson. I'm the Executive Director over Dropout Prevention for Miami-Dade County Public Schools. Mr. Van Simpkins is our, name all the things I need to get.
Social worker, wraparound specialist, transition specialist.
Outreach, and then she's my designee. And she's an instructional leader of a program we run as well. Ms. Fletcher Dawkins has she's in counsel for 3 different programs. And she's two different programs, and she's also our outreach specialist. Wraparound service specialist is Ms. Jamie McCann Paradise. She is the newest member of the team that we have here. And then Dr. Carlos Kildane is also a wraparound service specialist. They both break up the county within 2, but these also work with it. We do something called One Stop. It's our educational facility that also helps with transitioning youth from the DJJ system to placing them back in an appropriate education setting. That means that might not mean that they're going back to their school. It's going to be an appropriate setting that works best for the family, works best for that student, and for those administrators in the room, works best for not being back in your school where they may have committed the infraction to get them with us in the first place. So we're going to go to the next slide because I do want to let you know about Daniel Wynn. Daniel Wynn is an outstanding educator. He is a former DJJ Teacher of the Year. He actually could win it every year if he submitted it, because he is that phenomenal. You're going to see a little bit more about him, but he put this slide together. He unfortunately was not able to come this weekend. He says his regrets. He actually got a little sick right before he got here, so that's why he was unable to come. We had 3 days of training of me going over this PowerPoint, and I already told him most likely I'm gonna skip through most of the stuff, but we'll at least see every slide. So he's gonna talk about himself here, so here we go. Next slide. He is an educator. He has actually, this is the one that gets me every time. He has taught in Brazil and Ecuador. Now, if you see this man, he's a gentle giant. He's taller than me. He played tight end at the University of Minnesota. He learned the language while he moved to Brazil. So he learned Spanish while he was in Brazil, met his wife there. He is certified in English, social science, ESOL, middle grades, and leadership. They actually interviewed him for my job. He turned it down because he wasn't making as much money as he made there. So, that's what. So I always look at him as not just a colleague, he's really my supervisor. He's been in MDCS since 1993, and he's been in the correctional setting, which is Miami Youth Academy. He's also a part of our JJCS, and he's part of the transition team for the DJJ system. He actually was on a compliance review the week before he got here with the state, going to every other DJJ facility in the state, seeing what they're doing right and what they may be able to do a little better. So now, it's your turn. Now I want you to, at the table, tell that person, the next slide please, Madam White. You're gonna tell them your name, your affiliation, what your role is, and what's something you do to engage the students where you are. I do have some goodies for those of you at the table that feel like you're gonna want to know everybody in their roles. So I'm gonna pick somebody at the end and see if you can tell me everybody at the table. You gotta have more than 3 people at your table though, because I know you was already looking at me like, oh, I'm getting this. You gotta have more than 3 people at the table. So go ahead and engage with me a couple minutes to do that.
Hi. My name is Celeste. I'm from St. Thomas
About 2 more minutes, guys. 2 more minutes. Might already ready for whoever they think might be able to sell me everything about kids. You got it ready to go? You got to have these 3, so y'all ain't ready. Alright, so wrapping up the conversation, we got about a minute left. Remember, we got some business for those that see. Tell you everything about the person that's in there. Okay, here we go. We are going to get into it. I love these conversations that's going on right now, Carlos.
Yeah, it's really good.
So we are going to be looking for somebody who wants to say the name, affiliation, role, something that person does to engage students in, what their influences are. We want you to say that for everybody at your table. Who thinks they can do that? Okay, we're going over this. We got 2 people already, so if these 2 take it, they got the goodies. You know, so we're going to start right here. Here we go. And then we say your name first and all your things, and then the rest of the team. Let me make sure you don't have no notes in there.
I do cheat, but I'm not cheating today, okay? My name is Benita Bell. I'm from Texas. I am the STEM school coordinator, and I am the auntie on campus. And so they call me Baby Jesus because they're trying to say Jesus. Yeah, that's me.
That's a
And
good
then
nickname.
You have Mr. Matt here and Mr. Levi. They are graduation coaches from Virginia. And he's also basketball and a volleyball coach. And they work with the kids whenever teachers are put them out of class, they deal with that. And then this is Mr. Brandon Reeves. He's also a STEM school coordinator in Fort Worth ISD, and he works at Coastal High School. And the way he's trying to set up the engage with the kids is open.
I like it. That's good, man. Good job. That was really good. Okay, let's see.
And we'll make this work.
Good. I believe
Good afternoon, my name is Gwendolyn Taylor. I'm from the dusty town of Midland, Texas, by the way of HISD, Houston ISD. I am with Katrina from Hattie, Mississippi, who is the case manager for the Juvenile Delinquent Center there in Hattie, Mississippi. I am with Jaron, who is the lead teacher for special education, both life skills and resource from Atlanta. And right here, he is not present at the time, he had to step out. This is Derek. He is the truant officer here in Georgia, from Marietta, Georgia. He's a retired police officer after 25 years, and I've been in education for 20.
that is amazing. I'm always, give it up. I am always so amazed at people who can do those things. So Vanna, show them what they won. Oh, they won the gift! Come on, you get a chip, you get a chip. Thank you, Vanna. We love giving stuff away. You guys should have had those chips.
I graduated much earlier than she did,
Wow.
but she graduated from the same high school I did.
Call that serious. All right, so we are going to his influences. So those of you guys that know Paulo Federer, he's known as the leader of philosophy. He's learned as the first philosopher, so a lot of what we know as engagement and thinking kind of comes from his point of view. We also, some of his influences, and this is Mr. Wynn's influences, are Breakthrough Education, the DJJ Schools Leadership Fellow, the Schleppe Center, which is in this PowerPoint, you'll see a lot of information on the Schleppe Center. So if you access this, you'll see all those lines are hyperlinks, with the exception of the Ambassador Program. But you can go and find information on each one of these things that could be beneficial to you. I can tell you, we're actually engaging in some work with the Schleppe Center in Miami-Dade County Public Schools to be able to provide more engagement activities for all of our 500 schools. We have 400 regular schools, 100 between adult programs and DJJ or contracted organizations. Next slide, please. So here you see about the Schleppe Center. The Schleppe Center is talking about the levels of engagement in your class. So you kind of heard some people talk about the different levels of engagement that they do. I heard, the gentleman from Virginia, is it Virginia? These guys are a volleyball coach, basketball coach. I was a former athletic director at one point, and I always used to say that my athletic program was one of the biggest dropout prevention programs that we had at the school because it was a way to engage the students. So I always encouraged all of our teachers when I became an administrator, and now that I'm the executive director, I always encourage people to just find ways to engage them. The more you can engage these students, and again, I know it's hard, because that phone is much more engaging than you are, but what I see now, and I see them even in my son's school, they do a lot of things where they allow them to use their phones in those engagement activities. One of the things that he is always looking forward to do is a cahoots. Again, he's an elementary school student, but he's really excited about doing things like that. So with engagement, with these levels of engagement, the biggest thing that the Schleppe Center said they're looking for is if you can get high attention and high commitment from those things. So high attention meaning that's why sports is one of those things, because a lot of times you're getting that attention. You already have them engaged right when you get in there because they want to be a part of that team. Even the ones that aren't very good, that same son I just told you about the cahoots, he just started baseball this year. He's really not good at all. He's like really bad. I'm talking about you guys think I'm just talking. He has not, we played 5 games, he has not even swung at a ball. He just sits there and just don't even swing, he's scared. But I think he has the high attention. He just doesn't have a high commitment yet, but we're gonna find some ways to get him really compliant in that. But if you can get somebody that's highly attentive to it and they have that high commitment, then you have an opportunity to fully engage a student. One of the things that I love for the PD that we were just in, the teacher, she was really making us be attentive, by looking us in the eyes. She had us, she back there, she was all in the eyes like this. She said, yes. I'm like, goodness gracious, Monica, don't look at me like that. But she made us be engaged, and that's one of the ways that you can kind of make somebody have that attention, but the commitment is always going to be intrinsic. It's always going to be intrinsic. But the Schleppe Center, you'll see that as you go on there, they talk about some different tools that you can use, some different strategies that you can use to find that level of commitment. Next slide, please. So again, engagement, strategic compliance, ritual compliance, retreatism, and rebellion. So typically, if you get that diverted attention and you get no commitment, that's when you get the people that we typically deal with. The rebellious students. I've been kicked out of 5 schools myself, 2 elementaries, 2 middle, 1 high school. And I can tell you a lot of that had to do with fighting, right? So I had that rebellious mindset because I always felt like I knew more than everybody else in the room. Not this room, of course, because you guys are so smart, you know what I mean? And I'm just joking, because I don't know this PowerPoint at all. So I diverted Attention, meaning, you know, that's that person that's sleeping. I heard it in a PD earlier. They were saying that, hey, when a person is sleeping for 60 minutes, we give them non-productive hours. And then they get an opportunity to come back on a different day to get their productive hours back. And if they accumulate a number of unproductive hours, then they got to get an attendance contract, or they got to get some kind of other betterment, but they get an opportunity to make it up. And I thought that was really a way to improve attention and improve commitment. So one of the things that we have been saying in our Miami-Dade County Public Schools little, quintuplet here today is that we say that we really love learning about other people's programs. That's right. We're down with OPP. We're down with it. We love it. That was my little joke. Hey, Jamie actually came up with that joke, and I said, I'm going to use that as a dad joke, and I love dad jokes. All right, next one. All right, activities that foster engagement. So we talked about authenticity. We've been learning a lot about how CTE has been blended in a lot of the programs that we've heard about throughout these programs. And one of the things that I love that CTE does, it really gives you authentic practice. It gives you applicable behaviors that you can be able to emulate because they apply to the school system. They apply to what you're going to do outside of the school system. But one of the things that he really wanted to communicate was that these engagement activities are designed with having attention in mind. So if you click on some of these, and we're not going to click on all these because I don't want to belabor you while we're here. But one of the things that I really want to get to is he has something that he does with the University of Miami, and it is surrounded around journalism and poetry that I really want you to see. But all these things are things you already know. So, but the last one that I really wanted to say was develop a shared value for activities. So what he does a lot with the students at Miami Youth Academy, which is a diversionary program, but it is a residential program, so it's a residential program. He does a lot of things where he invites them into the Google Classroom, so he has a full Google suite lined up for them. So they do a lot of activities online when they are not in whatever they're doing with the BJJ. However, he allows them to be able to be the one to come up with a lot of activities, and you'll see that in the presentation. Next slide, please. So this is the Google Tool Suite that we just talked about. So they're very familiar. He does the PDs with the teachers that are there, and he does it with the students. Go ahead, next one. And then he started this conversation with poets. A whole series where he gets these individuals to zoom in, or they come in on Google Meet. And I know it might seem a little childish, but I love the fact that here are these students that are in residential, they can't go anywhere. He's finding opportunities to really engage them and bringing in other individuals that may not otherwise really want to come in to be able to speak to these population of students. But he gets them to do that by tying it to real life applications. So a lot of what poetry is the foundation of hip hop. And a lot of these students are really into hip hop. So he allows it to be a foundational part of it. So some of these things that, some of the people that he's gotten to respond are some really big people in the area or some national people, and having these conversations with them. Next slide, please. So you just see some pictures. This is the Miami Youth Academy. These are the students. These are there in the middle of it. You see they look and chill, but they are actually focused on it, and you'll know why, because they have their actual journalism time. Next page, next one. I think that's another picture. All right, so he's really big on all of these type of things. So talk about jamming, allegorical. He had to teach me what that word meant right there in jamming, responsive. Anybody know what that word meant? No? I don't really know again. Can you click on it again? I was gonna be like, yeah, how do you know? Can you click on it? Let's see what that word means. I just want to make sure. Just for everybody in here to be sure. So that's not coming up, is it? hotspot was on there and I'm walking around with them. Okay, I really want to know what this is. So
The
can you tell me?
continuation of a sentence without a pause beyond the end of a line, couplet, or stanza.
There you go. It's the stanza. That's what. Thank you.
You're welcome.
This is what's your name?
It's Shannon Gray.
Thank you, Miss Shannon. So Shannon let us know there was a stanza. That's what I was looking for. Can you go back? But this is, one of those poems that is an enjambment. Can you go back to our other PowerPoint? Allegorical, historical. And I told them, when we really got into it, I really love the personal poetry, right? And so that's what a lot of the students ended up leaning towards. And we're going to see one of the students who finaled at one of our big piano slams for the whole county of Miami-Dade. He was a finalist and we had one winner. If you can go to the next slide, please. So that piano slam 13. We have to click it 2 times. It's supposed to be yeah, but it's supposed to be their actual. Yeah. I'm not sure what's happening right now. We went through it a few times. However, hopefully you have it.
Yeah.
There it is. Okay. Yeah. So if you can click on that and play it, hopefully it's but this is one of our students that was a finalist. If it plays. And what it is poetry set to piano. And again, these are DJJ students. And hopefully it came up to the one.
This is me. Feel my tempo. Get my memo. Hear that all my words are lesto. See the best in me. I'm the composer to my life. Adagio too slow, and I won't survive. I have to keep going on. I can't get beat by my own beat. Death lingers like a stray cat. My heart revs presto. If I leave town, my heartbeat slows down. They got to. Afirmato, my cries for help. I feel God by my side. And even though my family is small inside, the love we got multiplied. Their love is all I need. Tires screeching, children laughing and screaming. Broke and abandoned buildings, still filled with our memories. You can feel the pulse in my words, a determination behind every single verse. Miami is a part of me. Dr. King worked so we could come together, compose our brotherly work, so we may strive and succeed. I've made my mother worry. I tried to grow up in a scurry. I became a man in a hurry. And now, I wish I could take it all back. But I can't. I wouldn't be the man I am today. My character wouldn't have to say. I prevailed, held my perseverance. I've made something great. False accusation. Losing sleep, I'm in frustration. Emotions steadily shaking around, dancing merengue. But thanks to my Lord, I have been saved. Now it's time to make a change. Time to act and fix my ways. Don't act on anger, act on how it would all turn out. A successful, organized play. I lost my little brother. I had the blues at the sound of his name. But I had to make it out, show that he didn't go in vain. If only a half note to scream how I feel, but you still feel the measure of my pain. Loyalty over royalty. Grown men priority. Our actions have authority of what you become in life. I won't give up on my dreams. There's too much willingness in me. Like a guitar, my string might break if the obstacle is too hard, but I'll just unwind and restrain. I become a man. Responsibilities and pressure in hands. I grasp them all with my hands and close my eyes. Try to get a glance of what the world would be if there was a chance where we would all come together and succeed. I will be successful. Discover new landmarks I haven't seen. Travel around, learn new cultures. From the south of my homeland to the cumbia of the Caribbean Sea. I will be successful. Make up for the times when mama's cried. For the times we woke up sweating. Mama, they've cut the lights. For the time we didn't have nothing to have a bite. Hunger was a blanket in my sleep, but I will be successful. Because like Dr. King, I was young and I had a dream.
So one of the things that, you can skip to the next one. We won't go through the whole thing. But what I really wanted you to see was, these are quote unquote hardened criminals. And you heard the cathartic nature of the poem. So you know that he had to at some point pen those words on paper. And they allowed him to be able to transition. I heard in the poem how he felt like he's transitioned to be a man now when he was already trying to hurry up and be a man and it didn't go right. But he wasn't in a situation where he was, woe is me. In the poem he said, I feel okay with what I went through. I've persevered through it and it's gonna make me a better man, which I am now. And a lot of that had to do with these engagement activities. And so what we do, and this is all Mr. Wynn that set these things up, and you would hear that passion exuding out of him if he was here talking about it. But he was the one who set up this relationship with the University of Miami. So a lot of the professors and some retired professors come over and teach poetry to these students. And it's a part of their curriculum, and it's attached to all those, great Florida standards that we have, all that good stuff. But it's an engaging opportunity for our students that wouldn't normally do it. So it's the criminology department that we work with at the University of Miami. However, because of that, we're able to leverage that and get other people to come over from the University of Miami in different departments as well. So you see that literature. Go to the next slide, please. Next slide. I just talked about that. This is just a field trip that we had to the University of Miami. Click to the next one, please. So this is just a talk with a former incarcerated individual, kind of representing that restorative group session where you're kind of talking through some of the issues, but really the main point of this photo was just to show that this is the University of Miami that set up this actual meet and greet. But it was so, and this is Ms. Wynn's words, it was so inspirational that it had a lot of these young men in tears when they were there. It stopped for a moment while we were with the pandemic, and they just started back this past year, being able to go back and take these young men to these different things and be able to really enrich their engagement level. So having some field trips involved, that's a big deal, and obviously you know all those things. Next slide, please. One of the things that really got me, one more, is our student responding to writing prompts. So they actually do something called the Titan Tribune, and you'll see that in the slide here. So a lot of these students that are there, they're actually put together their own newsletter. So I know everybody's doing, different things in there, but you kind of think about a student that is they're there all day. They're there, they sleep there, and they do all those things in residential campus. However, these individuals, they are putting together some fantastic pieces, and a lot of their pieces are on the faculty that work there, or maybe they'll call me and they'll call somebody, that's affiliated to them, and they'll do an actual article on it. So they're learning a lot of these practical skills that's going to help them in real life, especially like the writing prompts. So go to the next one. This is the former journalism teacher. He helps them. He comes out, he has his own time with them. But one of the big takeaways that Mr. Wynn wanted you to know about this person is that engagement piece, right? For you talking to other people in your community, reaching out. A lot of things that he does is he just put together a cold call email. He'll put together a cold call email, reach out to these people over and over again. I know I used to do it as an athletic director, trying to get money all the time, cold call emails, and then you'll just be surprised with how many yeses you'll get. Yeah, you're gonna run into a lot of no's, but even in those no's, you get a lot of rich information. Next slide, please. Perfect. So we're in perfect time. So the newspaper archives, just to show you a sample of that work. Can you click on that, please? This is the Titan Tribune, how it looks. If it comes up anytime soon. This is just the archives. Click on the last one, please. So you see, they're all based on, these are all students. So they write all of the entire thing. So each one of them contributes to this Tribune each week. And I thought originally that they were putting it out monthly, but they actually do it weekly. They just don't always send it to the administrators all the time. So I thought that was another great way of just, again, engaging all of these students that are helping with, and again, you see, carbon emissions, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like no low budget things that they're actually going out and really digging into information. Students participate in $100 million global emissions, contribution. So if you go back to the PowerPoint, because I want to stick to what I told you, next slide, please. So again, this is more of that carbon removal things that we're talking about. This was a really cool project that they just finished this year. And I got an opportunity to go out and meet this young man right here. This is Hope Murals project. If you ever, he actually is now in Virginia as well. This young man, he does something called Hope Murals, and he does it with the Department of Juvenile Justice. And all he is about is just painting. He's done commissioned a bunch of different projects in Wynwood. So he came to us through Hope Murals and local community-based organization, and they commissioned this piece. The students did this whole thing. These students right here did this whole thing. And if you saw it, like you may not be able to see it from there, but if you got the presentation, it is a young man's face, a silhouette of his face, with all of these things that are items that the students were thinking about. So they were thinking about peace. They were thinking about how, they play a lot of games and they would like to be somebody that's really more faith-based. They talked about like some of the things outside of them that is trying to get into their brains, like the guns, bad people, robbing, this fist was like just fighting. And so you start thinking about another cathartic way to engage students. Now this commission project was free for the program, and it took up a month and a half. So not only did they do the painting part, they did the whole restorative part. They did the cathartic talking. They did all those things that they thought about putting on here. It was already on paper. And I just was like, man, this is just another neat way to engage. So all these things that you guys are doing already, because you guys are all superheroes. I love the fact that Ms. Monica made everybody talk about their superpower. You all have superpowers. But it's really cool if you can get other people to come in and help with their superpowers to engage your students. Next slide. So this is just Break Free Education Initiative, just another people that have superpowers that he engages with. Next slide, please. And that's it. I told you I wasn't gonna keep you long because I don't want to keep you away from downtown Atlanta. It is. It's a national organization. Yeah, Break Free Initiative. So you look for that Break Free Initiative. And so Mr. Wynn's information is on the PowerPoint. I think the next slide is Mr. Wynn's information. He said, please contact him. If you just had any kind of question, again, he is a wealth of information when it comes to the DJJ. He is a part of that. He's also a wealth of information when it comes to just teaching in general. He teaches also at night. He does a night school class. He teaches ESOL at night. English as a second language too. He teaches English at night to ESOL students, but they're adult students. In the Miami Beach area. So he gets a lot of older Russian, older Spanish people in that area. And he does a lot of things that he does here with those students. So they even started to do a journal in Miami Beach, which is really cool. So he wants you to hit him up. He's a jolly guy, so he is going to take your call, and he may even come to your state. He is one of those people. Any other questions? I hope I did him justice. Okay. That one is just a man, we also have a woman.
So when you have them at this residential treatment facility, these are activities they have to get engaged in order to finish, or how is it that you're getting them to engage? Because
A lot, it's not, some of it is a part of his class, he teaches the class there, some of it is, but a lot of it is just students that want to be a part of it. They want to be a part of it because it's just, if they don't, sometimes they don't get a chance to get out for a field trip, right? You know, so it's tied into that, it's a incentive base as well. And then it's kind of, if you're not involved, like, there were only 5 guys involved with the mural. And that's only because they were kind of begging people, hey, do you want to do it? Now, after they done the mural, now all of the people that were in there were like, hey, I would like to be a part of the next one. So now they're looking for more wall space at the academy. And it was like, okay, hey, they already commissioned another part of the wall space for that. So that's a great question. So the question was, how do you get them involved? Is it something that's mandatory, or is it something that is, voluntary? So it is some mandatory and some voluntary. Like the Tribune is, voluntary. Great
you
question.
have to follow up with the students, if they leave your facility and go to
So that's what these two do a lot. They do the follow up. They do it. What if you guys follow up for 2 weeks, 3 weeks? What is it?
1 month.
Depends,
One
because,
month.
it depends, because some of the youth are from out of state.
Mhm.
It's a residential program, but we have students coming in from different counties.
Mhm. So we get everybody there. So and we contract with this organization, but we have most of our teachers in. So it's not just for us. So they actually, this whole team, they deal with it. That's why Mr. Wynn and all this team, we're really highly recognized in the state of Florida because of all the work we do with all the rest of them. So we usually typically get them there, and a lot of our records and management are classified. So, like Ms. Andrea Flock, Fletcher Dawkins, she's able to get a lot of information to other counties in the state. And so it's really a convoluted process, which is really why I can joke around, because they do all the work. You laughing? Oh, so that residential center is referred by the court. And it's something, we also do the Virgin Air program as well, so we have a lot down there. That's not the maximum. Yeah, we have some maximum ones. That is not one. So our TGK would be a maximum. Yeah, I determined Guilford at night is a maximum facility. And typically we don't usually have big numbers there. So most of our students now are getting an opportunity to at least be in that residential type semi-release, or our juvenile justice center school, which I think most counties have them. Our juvenile justice center school, a student can stay up there up to 21 days.
TGK is where they, area adult correctional facility, where they can be possibly outside.
That's correct. That's long term. Yes. So that's a great question. She's saying, how do they transition back to school? So a lot of that plays on it. So Mr. Wynn is our transition specialist, placement specialist.
He is an outreach and transition specialist like myself, but we also have,
Staffing.
we have staff, Maria Molina, who is the transition and school counselor. A lot of times the students are placed on GED. And so if they pass GED, then that's a great transition for them going on, and then they get the vocational certificates there while they're there as well, and we also have a culinary program there as well.
So remember earlier I was saying we might place them in the most appropriate educational setting. So like you said, some of them are GED, most of them go GED route because they're so far behind.
Yes, a lot of credit.
However, we also contract with a lot of other dropout prevention facilities that can do an accelerated diploma. So we actually put them there as well, just to help with acceleration. and we're under the umbrella of our adult technical colleges, so we also can leverage those relationships as well.
And
So-
if they do transition back to within our county, then they'll end up with me, because then I'm with a DJJ, which is more of a day treatment kind of program. And so then I will continue with the high school, there's a continuation.
So we do a whole transition meeting. So we do a staffing meeting, transition meeting. It operates a lot like an IEP meeting that you guys might see, to be able to talk about the programming, what might be the best with and most appropriate setting for them, and then what is going to be their post-secondary journey after that. So our recidivism rate is really low, but it's still too high for some people, so it's around 3.7%. Yeah. And our dropout prevention rate is under 3%, it's at 2.7% as of last year. But that's still, we have 365,000 students, so, you know, that's still a lot of students. Yes.
Good morning. What's the age range?
So age range at NYA is 11 to 19?
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's 11 to 19 years old.
11 to 19.
Yep, 11 years old to 19, yep. And you know, our JJCS takes all ages, our TDK, unfortunately takes all ages. We do have several different kind of programs for those things. We're just starting to, unfortunately, just starting an elementary type program like that. It is both preventative and intervention model. However, that's why I wanted to champion and be a part of it, because I was kicked around all these different schools. I had to go to a different county, come back. So I want to make sure it's always as fair as we can do with those things. And I actually, unfortunately, have a lot of nephews, 2 nephews that's actually in that program right now for doing some horrific crimes, actually. So when I say that I'm over it, because it really means a lot to me, it definitely does. Anybody else? Anything else? Remember, these are you asking the questions, so I actually let you go early, but you asked a lot of questions. Anything else? All right, have a great day, guys. If you need us to sign anything, we can up here.